Good morning, everybody. Ben Dorr, political director of Minnesota Gun Rights. Let me grab my mic, pull it down here quick. Guys, I've got some breaking news. You guys are probably seeing this all over the internet right now, that the cloture vote on Judge Brett Kavanaugh took place in the U.S. Senate only moments ago. And I've got the results here. We've got the vote count. Guys, let me know where you're watching from. Brett Kavanaugh advances. The cloture vote was successful. 51-49 in the Senate. And now I'm getting a million notifications on my phone. 51-49, the cloture vote was successful in the U.S. Senate on Judge Brett Kavanaugh. This has been an insane proceeding for the last couple of weeks. It's been wild. So just to throw out a couple right there, Joe Manchin was the only Democrat. Joe Manchin from West Virginia. Now, remember, this guy was the sponsor, one of the lead sponsors of the Manchin-Toomey gun control bill in Congress back in 2014. Joe Manchin voted yes, was a Democrat who voted yes, and the only Republican to vote no on Judge Brett Kavanaugh was Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. So, guys, that is the breaking news right now, that Judge Brett Kavanaugh, that the procedural vote in the Senate was successful, 51-49. Razor thin vote. And now, because this is the cloture vote, they have, according to the rules, 30 hours to have a full Senate floor vote on his confirmation. So they're saying it could be tomorrow morning. They could possibly drag on into Sunday. We don't know for sure. But they have roughly 30 hours to have a full Senate floor vote on Judge Brett Kavanaugh in the U.S. Senate. So, again, the vote that took place only moments ago, the cloture vote, was 51-49. And the only Republican to vote no in the Senate was Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. And the only Democrat to vote yes was Joe Manchin from West Virginia. Guys, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what you think of Brett Kavanaugh, what you think of this entire proceeding. Do you support Brett Kavanaugh? Do you not? Let me know what you think. Joseph Christensen says, isn't the vote tomorrow? Yeah, they haven't said it yet, but the actual vote should be tomorrow, because it has to be, according to the rules. Now, those can be changed. It has to be within 30 hours of the cloture vote, which took place like 20 minutes ago. So it passed 51-49. Of course, our beloved state U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar voted no. And of course, Tina Smith also voted no. So there's Minnesota representation for you from our U.S. senators, both of them voting no only moments ago. Guys, we have Derek in Duluth, Samantha's in Grand Rapids. Joy says best wishes to him. And Bernie says Kavanaugh hands down. Sarah Jensen says I stand with Kavanaugh. And Greg says we're done being women's beasts of burden. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Greg. But guys, this is huge. This is big, because if this hasn't told us what we already know, that is that the left will use these tactics. Bloomberg and Soros have been funding thousands and thousands of people to march on D.C., to chase these senators out of their offices, to chase them out of restaurants, to scream at them in the hallways and in the elevators, getting in their faces, violent, vicious, and ready for a fight at a moment's notice. That is what the left is willing to do. That is what they're willing to do to get their agenda passed. And so let's look at this in terms of Minnesota, St. Paul. All of these Republicans, this is why we're so hard on Republicans in St. Paul, because, well, they don't advance pro-gun bills, but because they think that you can placate these people. They think that if we talk nice, if we shake their hands, if we play patty cakes with the left, that somehow, some way, we're going to appease them. There is no appeasing the radical left. The radical left is at war. It's at war with our country. It's at war with our principles. It's at war with our Second Amendment. And they're just getting warmed up. They're not going to stop. We need to fight back every bit as hard, because Minnesota nice doesn't work. It won't work. We need people in St. Paul who are going to fight for our Second Amendment freedoms, not try to placate the left. And that is what we've seen for the last several years in St. Paul. We have Kurt Doubt and his leadership team moving gun control bills, having hearings on gun control bills to try to make the left happy, while killing all the pro-gun bills and hoping that people like us just give them a free pass. It's totally unacceptable, and what's more, it won't work. It won't work. We're going to get our teeth kicked in if our majorities don't stand up and fight on behalf of gun owners here in Minnesota. Just a few minutes ago, before the cloture vote took place, of course, Dianne Feinstein gets up. She's such a witch. What a witch. Dianne Feinstein gets up there and starts railing on Brett Kavanaugh, starts railing on the Second Amendment, saying that we need, saying that just because there are millions and millions and millions of semi-automatic firearms in the possession of the public in America, just because there are millions and millions and millions of them, that doesn't meet the threshold for common use. If tens of millions of Americans having semi-automatic firearms doesn't equal common use, I don't know what does. But that was issue number 2 this time for her. She railed on Roe v. Wade, on Kavanaugh's stance on Roe v. Wade, and then she railed on the Second Amendment and how Brett Kavanaugh will not be a supporter of the gun control she once rammed through here. So she was demanding that the Senate vote him down and that he not get confirmed on the Supreme Court. But again, the cloture vote, now the full floor vote, I think should be tomorrow. That's what they're saying. It has to be within 30 hours of the cloture vote, which took place half an hour ago. And again, for those just tuning in, it was 51-49. 51-49 was the vote. And Chuck Grassley and the senators who were leading this whole thing were saying the whole time, they said, you know what, this is one of the only times, Mitch McConnell was saying, rather, he said, we don't know what's going to happen. We almost never not know. We always know what the vote is going to be when we do full Senate floor votes, because they whip the votes. They find out where everybody's going to do, and then they call the vote. But this time, they didn't know. Nobody knew. Nobody knew what was going to happen on the Senate floor, and so they said, call the roll. Call the roll. The vote's happening right now. And Jeff Flake finally got back on board. Guy's a giant loser, but he did vote yes on the cloture vote for Brett Kavanaugh just a little bit ago. So it's good to see that he can be whipped back into shape here. But again, Lisa Murkowski being the only Republican, she's from Alaska, and she's the only Republican who voted no on Brett Kavanaugh. But guys, again, this is the new mode of the left. Delay, fight, attack, be violent, be vicious, be loud, be obscene. This is what the left is willing to do. This is what the left is willing to do everywhere. Everywhere. This is what they're willing to do to get their agenda passed. And in Minnesota, it's time for our pro-gun majorities in the House and the Senate to start acting like it. Start acting like it. When the protests happen, when the leftists show up and scream and shout and spit and bite and claw, tell them, get lost. There is no dealing with these people. There is no placating them. There's nothing we can do other than to fight back. And that is what needs to happen. That is what needs to happen in St. Paul in 2019, no matter what happens. No matter what happens in November, our current majorities need to fight back and push on behalf of gun owners and get pro-gun bills passed, because the left, this is happening all over the place now. all over the place. They've been rolling out this program. Soros funded, Bloomberg funded, being funded by all these radical leftists who are pushing this agenda, throwing out tens or hundreds of millions of dollars to push this stuff. And now they're going, you know what? We're seeing some pretty smashing success. We have been able to bully a bunch of weak Republicans into caving. That certainly happened here in Minnesota in 2018. During the 2018 session, they caved. A whole bunch of Scott Jensen, Paul Anderson in the Senate, both Republicans, sponsoring Bloomberg's gun control. This is what happened in 2018. And if we're not careful, and if we don't hold the line, this is what's going to happen worse in 2019. Our rights are under full-blown attack, full-blown assault, and you know what? The left is going to keep it up. They're not going to stop, and so we cannot stop. We got to push back just as hard. We've been saying it for years. Minnesota nice. We don't need nice people in St. Paul. We don't need nice people. You get these people who run for office and they say, you know what? I'm going to go there and I'm going to reach across the aisle. And you know, I've been organizing bake sales and stuff for years. I'm a great organizer and a friend to all people. We don't need those people in St. Paul. We need street fighters. We need brawlers. We need people who are willing to stand up to the radical left and to weaklings like Kurt Dowd, who's the Speaker of the House, to stand up against your own party leadership and fight on behalf of gun owners. Frank Cobb says, their BS won't make me back down ever, with a whole bunch of American flags. We love that. Guys, let me know what you think about Kavanaugh. Let me know what you think about this hearing that took place, and let me know where you're at. Andy Foster says, Minnesota needs a change. Joe Gore says somebody needs to drop a house on her. I can only assume he's talking about the Wicked Witch of the, West. Yeah, she is from California. Dianne Feinstein. A political house would do her well. Steve says, let's get him out in November. And Brenda says, totally stand with Kavanaugh. Guys, this whole Kavanaugh thing, the entire thing was guilty until proven innocent. This entire attack on him has been a total lack of due process, which is exactly how red flags gun control, how red flags gun seizures works, is a total destruction of due process. This is what the left is willing to do to destroy our rights and freedoms. This is what they're willing to push, and we got to fight back. We got to fight back on all fronts here. Now, we were perhaps not always the we don't fall on our faces for politicians here, right? We don't say, well, that guy is the be-all, end-all of all things we care about. Politicians are politicians. You know, perhaps Kavanaugh was not our first pick, personally, when it came to the list that President Trump brought forward. But this has moved far past Kavanaugh. This has moved far past him as a person and him and his views on things. This is a right versus wrong. This is a radical left versus the right. This is an all-out war on our American system being funded by anti-American freedom haters like George Soros and Michael Bloomberg. If they are willing to fight this hard, if they are willing to be this committed, we can be nothing less than that committed. We have got to fight back. We cannot sit here on our thumbs and go, well, America's been America all this time. I've had my guns for all these years. There's no way that something like this could ever really happen around here. Yada, yada, yada. It's really not that big a deal. We can't do that. We can't do that. I've been in the Capitol too many times. I've talked to these politicians too many times. We've seen this play out too many times, and we're seeing it play out in states all around us. Wisconsin is pushing radical gun control over in Wisconsin. In Iowa, it's the same story. Oregon is a lost cause, and Pennsylvania is now pushing for red flags gun seizure bills so they can take your firearms from you on sheer hearsay. Total hearsay. They don't have to prove it. You don't get to defend yourself. They can show up and confiscate your firearms with no due process. This is what's passed by Republicans all over the country now. And if you don't think that this is happening right now in Minnesota, you got to wake up, smell the coffee, and we've got to push back with everything that we've got. So, guys, for those of you just hopping on, again, the cloture vote in the U.S. Senate took place only a few minutes ago. 51 to 49 was the vote. Razor thin vote in the U.S. Senate. But within the next 30 hours, there needs to be a vote, a full Senate vote to confirm Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the U.S. Supreme Court. So this is good news. This is good news. And it's our job to hold these weak losers accountable for their actions. We got to hold them accountable. If you won't stand up and fight for us, you're gone. You're gone. This is how it needs to be. This is how we protect our most cherished freedoms. The America of yesterday doesn't exist anymore, where everybody's best friends, where we all go to church together every day, where, we have a few minor differences, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We all love freedom and we all love our country. This radical left does not. They do not love our country. They do not love our Constitution. They do not cherish our God-given right to keep and bear arms the way we do, and they want to see our country turn into a hellhole. Well, we're going to fight back. We are fighting back. We have been fighting back. And hey, you know what? The members and supporters of Minnesota gun rights have kept our Minnesota state legislature on its freaking toes for the last several years, stopping all the gun control and forcing them back into their holes. So we can't thank you enough for that. We've got to keep the fight up. States that have not fought back lose their freedoms entirely. We saw this in Florida. We're seeing this in Vermont. States where gun owners take the Second Amendment for granted, where the gun rights organizations are too busy kissing the butts of the politicians in the state capitol, those states lose their freedoms. We've got to fight back. We are fighting back, guys. I threw a link right down here in the comments section. If you can, please make a contribution to Minnesota gun rights right now to help us hold the line. We are rolling out tens of thousands of pieces of mail, radio ads, TV ads, boosted online videos into targeted districts to bring the heat down on these anti-gun leftists running for office right here in Minnesota. We got to fight back. This is how we win. This is how we show the left that we're serious about this, that we are not going to sit by and let them take free shots at our Second Amendment freedoms. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. We don't care if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican. If you sponsor gun control, we're coming after you. Promise. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. We've done it the last several election cycles. We're doing it right now. So if you can help, please make a contribution in the link on top of this video or in the comment section. So guys, again, for those of you just hopping on, the cloture vote in the U.S. Senate took place about a half an hour ago, and Kavanaugh got 51 votes. So it's 51-49. And Lisa Murkowski is the only Republican who voted no on this cloture vote, and Joe Manchin is the only Democrat who voted yes. So who knows? Maybe Joe dodged a bullet. But this happened only a few minutes ago, and now within the next 30 hours or so, they need to vote on full confirmation of Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the U.S. Supreme Court. And we're excited about this. We are excited about this because, again, some people have had reservations about Kavanaugh, saying, well, maybe he's not as tough as he could be. Maybe he's not as much of a fighter as our president is. Well, we're hoping that after being drug over the coals, and that's a soft term. I mean, for heaven's sake, being bludgeoned by the left, hopefully, if/when he makes it to the U.S. Supreme Court, he's got a little piss and vinegar in him, and he's ready to go after the leftist agendas on the Supreme Court. Hopefully. Come on, Kavanaugh. We're trusting in you, man. So, guys, this just happened. We're happy about it. But it just brings it all back home to roost here in Minnesota, watching how our Republican majorities are so busy kissing the backside of the left, desperately hoping to get a free pass. And I'll tell you one right off the top. Our own Congressman, Eric Paulson from Congressional District 3, I believe it is. You bet it is. Congressional District 3, Eric Paulson, this guy, he's a Republican. He's our Republican congressman. He goes to D.C. and he sponsors red flags gun seizure bills in Congress. Our Republican congressman, Eric Paulson, sponsors red flags gun seizure bills in Congress. He also was the very first co-sponsor of the bump stock ban when this floodgate was opened back in February. This guy has been tripping all over himself to placate the left. He's been falling all over himself to sponsor leftist gun control bills in hopes that he gets a free pass, that they leave him alone. He wants to play patty cake with the left. Well, you know what's happening? Eric Paulson is getting his face beat in by the left right now. All of those leftist groups, all the gun control groups are attacking him hardcore for being a pro-gun nut job. And you know what else happened? All the Republicans in his district are ticked off, and they should be. They're ticked off because he's sponsoring gun control, so he ticked off his entire base, and now the left is coming after him because he's a weak target. You see what happens here, folks? You try to placate the left, all you do is tick off the right, and the left will still try to slit your political throat. And that is happening right now to Eric Paulson. Let this be a lesson to everybody in Minnesota, all of you politicians, all of you sitting representatives and senators, all of you candidates, when you're in St. Paul and you're sitting there and leadership is trying to tell you, look, we can't push too hard. We can't push too hard for stand your ground law because, hey, they're going to come after us. They're going to come after us. The gun control groups are going to come after us. We can't do that. We need to do it this way over here. Remember that throwing a bone to the left, they just going to turn right around, shove that bone down your throat, and make you choke on it. That is what the left is going to do. You want to win? You want to win? You want to maintain your seats in St. Paul? You want to maintain your majorities? You want to get reelected? Fight. Fight for the things you believe in. Fight for what you promised. Fight for the Second Amendment. Stand up for gun owners, and watch gun owners stand up for you. That is the lesson to be learned here, guys. And let this be a lesson to all of you representatives. And I know there's some of you watching right now. I can see your names. Some of you representatives and senators who are watching this right now. I can see you on here. Don't fall in line with leadership in St. Paul. Stand up and fight, and we will fight for you. That's how this works. So, guys, if you can help out, please make a contribution to help us hold the line. At least click on the link. Check it out. Thank you for joining me right now. I'm going to get back to work here, but I just want to make sure you guys knew about the vote that took place, 51-49. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be in the office all day. We pretty much work. We work full-time on Saturdays, too, pretty much all the time. So I'll be back here on Facebook Live tomorrow, especially if the vote takes place and if Kavanaugh gets confirmed tomorrow. We're gonna be right back here. Says a release says, stand up for gun owners, reps. Dang right. You are darn right. Stand up and fight. Stand up and fight. Joe Gore says, stay strong, Minnesota gun rights. Hey, we're not going anywhere. We're fighting back. We're pushing back. And the entire Capitol in St. Paul is on constant notice. It's on constant notice. You try to step on the throats of gun owners, it's going to be really bad. It's going to turn out very poorly for you at election time. If you try to boot stomp gun owners, they're going to boot stomp you. That's how this works. We have to fight for what we believe in. We have to fight for our freedoms and our liberties. I have 2 kids. I want to pass on these rights and freedoms to them. I know many of you do too. This is what I fight for, and these freedoms are everything to me. They're what I believe and cherish most, and I'm going to fight for them. I hope you will stand with me, help us fight back. We're rolling out these programs right now to hold these people accountable, expose them in their districts, and we have to fight harder than the radical left. We have to push harder than they do. We must. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. It's either that or just hand them up, pass them over. Hey, your hard-earned dollars, pass them up. Here go the taxes. You know, abortion will continue to exist. Pass over your guns. Your guns are gone. This is what happens when the left gets their way. Joe Gore says no gloves, no holds barred. That's exactly what this is. There is no level to which Minnesota gun rights will not go to advance our cause and expose anti-gun leftists. You know, people like to say, oh, we need to be above the fray. We got to be Minnesota nice. We have to be above those dirty tactics. And that is somehow how we're going to advance the causes we believe in. Let me tell you, Minnesota gun rights, we're a bunch of knuckle draggers. And as far as the gutter goes, we will get into the bottom of that gutter, and then we'll whip out a jackhammer. We'll jackhammer right through the bottom of that gutter and get underneath it, because there is no level to which Minnesota gun rights is not willing to go to expose radical leftists, to advance and protect our freedoms. This idea of a pleasant discourse with the radical, America-hating, freedom-hating left is a joke. It's a joke. And that is not how Minnesota gun rights plays, not even remotely. So if you're looking for a little more fair-skinned, fair-haired, I mean, if you're looking for a white-gloved organization who walks around talking pretty to politicians and kissing backside, there are other organizations in Minnesota who I'm sure would love to have you on board. Now, if you're ready to pull the gloves off and start getting your knuckles bloody, politically speaking, for the humor impaired, Minnesota Gun Rights is the organization for you. We're here. We're not going anywhere. So hop on board. Please make a contribution at the link in the comments or on top of this video. Help us fight back against the radical left. Because let me tell you, Minnesota is the worst state in the entire Midwest when it comes to this. When it comes to the radical left, the leftist machine in Minnesota is the most well-oiled, well-funded, best pulled together, well-prepared anti-gun left that there is in the entire Midwest. Sure, gun control is being pushed in Wisconsin and in Iowa and in the Dakotas. This stuff is all true. This is all happening. But right here in Minnesota, the leftist machine is the most powerful, the most influential, the most well-funded of the entire Midwest. And Minnesota is ground zero. We are first in line. We are the number one target of Bloomberg and Soros. This is the state. They know if of all the states surrounding us, Minnesota is the most likely, in their minds, the most likely state to fall, to pass the radical gun control, to help pave the way for the entire Midwest to start becoming gun control strongholds like we've seen in Massachusetts and Oregon and California and New York and those states. Minnesota is target number one. We've got to fight back. We cannot take it for granted. We saw what happened in Oregon. It was a pro-gun state. There were pro-gun organizations there fighting on behalf of gun owners. When the left was banging on their door, there was no fight mounted to stop it. They didn't stop it. They didn't take it seriously. They said, hey, this is Oregon. How bad can it possibly be? You know, nothing's going to happen here. You guys are just making a mountain out of a molehill. And now Oregon's Second Amendment rights have been totally destroyed. Minnesota is, politically speaking, and that political climate is very similar. So we've got to take this seriously. We've got to fight back. We've got to push. We don't have a choice. So hop on board. We're going to keep pushing the agenda here. The agenda is, it's not for ourselves. It's for you. It's for the Second Amendment. It's for freedom and liberty. It's for our American way. This is what we're here for. This is what we're fighting for. And you know what? We can't do it ourselves. We need everybody on board. We already are the largest, by far, grassroots gun rights organization with a massive gun rights army spanning this state. It's incredible to see. It's incredible to see, but we need to be bigger. We need to be bigger. We need more gun owners on board. So, hey, go to your gun shops, go to your shooting ranges, all of these places where we gun owners congregate all the time. Tell them that we are fighting this fight. Get them on board. We need everybody helping us fight back against this because, hey, 2019 is coming fast. It's coming real fast. And the elections are not looking spectacular in November, not looking amazing. 2019 could be the bloodiest year we have ever had in St. Paul if we lose the House, if we lose the Senate, with the special election going on there. Bad things could be in store for us, but we got to fight back. We got to push back. We can win. We have always won. We must continue to do so. So hop on board, guys, and we're going to be back tomorrow, especially if the vote, if the full Senate floor vote on Kavanaugh takes place tomorrow. We're certainly going to be back here giving a commentary on that and what this means going forward. Joe Gore says it's our future. You're damn right. We're here to fight. This is our future. This is what we believe in. This is what we're fighting for, and we're not going to stop. So, guys, thank you for joining me. Please share this video with your family and friends so they can see what happened today with Kavanaugh, so they can figure out what's going on here in Minnesota. Let's see here. Christopher Kane says, what needs to be done to get you guys to some of the local gun shows? Well, Chris, I'll just throw this out there right away. We would love to come to some of those gun shows. We have been at many, many, many gun shows in the past. But some of the politicians in St. Paul who are friends with some of these people, the other gun organizations who are in the pockets of House leadership have been doing their dirty deeds and doing their level best to get us thrown out of gun shows because we're not very nice and we don't play real nice. So we would love to come to gun shows. We collect petitions stopping gun control. So, hey, if there's one you want us to go to, let us know. We'd be happy to get in touch with the gun show coordinator, get a team of people out there with and we'd love to come to your local gun shows. So, hey, or you can talk to them. Hey, talk to the people at the gun show and say, hey, we want Minnesota gun rights here, and we're tired of all the games being played. Stop listening to the idiots talking to you, and let's get these guys in here. So we'd love to have that happen. Guys, I'll be back later. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you for your help, for your support. Hop on board, and we're going to keep rolling out these programs into targeted districts to stop this gun control and to expose, rather, these anti-gun candidates running for office. So, guys, have a good day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you back here later. See you guys.